Happy Saturday, everyone. We were starting to do a series of testimonies from different people of things that the Lord has done for them, and I thought that I would share one of mine. I have many to share, but I thought I would share one that happened a couple of years ago. So to backtrack, years and years and years ago, I had two operations done a month apart, and one was done in April of the 29th, and one was done May 28th. And they both were done around the belly button area. And one was getting my tubes tied, and one was getting my gallbladder removed. And so having those situations done so close together weakened the muscle around my belly button area. So after many years, my youngest is 26. My youngest biological son is going to be 26. So it's been a long time. But it started to grow. I started to grow hernias, and it gradually, it started off very small, but anyway, it gradually got very large, and I was terrified to go get it done because I had fixed at the hospital, because I had heard lots of horror stories about what people go through with all those things. But then some point in time in the beginning of 2024, I started experiencing a pain that was in my lower abdomen and towards the side that was so bad that I don't even have the words to explain it. I have very high tolerance of pain because I've been dealing with fibromyalgia for many, many years. But this was a kind of pain that it would make anybody screech. Like, I would roll back and forth in bed and just beg God to take it away. And it was just horrendous. And so Alan kept saying, and some of my family kept saying, you need to go to the doctor, you need to go to the doctor and get checked. But I was, again, terrified because I've had some experiences with hospitals that caused some issues. But anyway, I was terrified. So it got to the point where our two youngest was at camp, and I was suffering so bad. I couldn't move, I couldn't lay, I couldn't sit, it just felt like there was no relief from it at all. And so my husband said, if this ain't gone by tomorrow morning, by some miracle, you may as well just get up and get dressed and get ready, because I'm going to call 911. And so the next morning, I was very hesitant about it. The pain was still there. It was tremendous. And so anyway, he called 911, and they came and got me and brought me to Waterville Hospital. I was told by the triage nurse that sounded like a kidney stone. She was very flippant about it. I don't know who she was, and I'm not trying to throw bad water at the Waterville Hospital, but this particular nurse did not take it serious at all. Told me that I had kidney stone. Well, I've had kidney stones, and I know what they feel like, and this was beyond that. So anyway, the doctor came in after a while and gave me some pain meds so that I could function properly to even talk about it. And they did some tests, and then let me and Alan know that they would be rushing me by ambulance to the Fredericton Hospital. So to make a very long story short of this part of it, I did land in the hospital in Fredericton, and a very, very good doctor. I'm not going to name names, but a very, very good doctor, gynecologist. She came and she did some tests on me and stuff, and she said, we're going to keep you in the hospital. We're going to check for cancer. We're going to check for this, that, and the other thing. Is there anything, get yourself prepared, bring some stuff in, and we'll probably keep you for a few days to check things out. So that's what they did. I underwent a lot of different tests, and it came to find out that they were going to have to do a massive operation. It was going to have to be done as soon as possible, but they had never done this kind of operation before because it was going to entail different doctors and different types of doctors to work on me at the same time, because it was it would be too big of a situation to do one part and then let me heal and do another part, and I'd be in the hospital for months and months and months. So they were going to try to do it all at once. So she said that she had to spend some time collaborating with some other doctors and finding out everything. So I ended up being in the hospital from July 3rd to July 10th, and it was not a fun situation. But on July 10th, they got me prepared and ready, and it was a situation where I was not sure when I said goodbye to Alan that I would wake up. And I apologize if I sound like emotional, but it was an emotional situation. My parents were concerned that they were not going to see me again. My kids were concerned. The doctors had told me that they didn't know if it was cancer. They didn't know how I was even there, how I was even still alive, to have even made it to the hospital. So anyway, they booked the operating room for 8 hours with the possibility of more, and they did the operation. It ended up being, it was going to be a 4-in-1, and they had never done that before. There was going to be a gynecologist, a surgical doctor. I'm not sure the exact medical names, but there was 2 or 3 different kinds of doctors that they were just going to tag team. That one would do what they were going to have to do, then the next one would step in, next one step in, and get it all done at once. Well, while I'm under, they ended up having to do something else, so it became a 5-in-1 operation. It didn't end up taking the 8 hours, which, you know, I knew that I had a lot of people praying. In the week that led up between July 3rd and July 10th that I had the operation, that I was in the hospital, I had a lot of people praying for me. There was a lot of people that would message me and let me know that they were praying for me. There was many people that came in and laid their hand on me and prayed for me, ministry friends and just family and friends. And I had incredible people. I'm not going to again name names because I'm sure I would forget somebody, but I had family that would come in and brought me stuff like clothes and nightgowns and stuff like that to have, and people would bring food in and treats in and come just to see me and visit with me and pray with me. And I'm so blessed to have the people that I did, you know, like that would come in, and people that would message me that couldn't make it there, that would send me, you know, inbox messages and call me and stuff like that. I was very, very blessed. So I knew that there was many people that prayed for me. My parents were there a lot. My kids were there a lot. My husband stood by my side. So blessed to have that. All these people. And my mother-in-law, you know, like just so many people to say thank you for, and to whatever. But they had told me that it was going to be a major operation and that it was going to take close to 2 years to completely heal from it all. So the day of the operation, they had it was just a big major thing, and they had a huge setup there. And to say that I was terrified is an understatement. Not that I didn't have faith that the Lord was going to touch me or heal me or whatever, but everybody has an appointment with death, and I was not sure that this was going to be mine or not. So it was an emotional day. It was hard. I know that it was very hard on my husband and my kids and my parents and family and stuff. And I'm thankful for the people that stayed with my parents and Alan and all them while the operation was going on, and was a comfort and help to them. But it ended up being that it was kind of like 2-in-1 hernia. It had sort of become looking like almost like a cashew nut, how it would go big on one end and then turn and then big on the other end. And one was trying to push through my skin at my belly button area, and the other one was wrapped all around, or it had entwined itself with my large intestine, bowel area, and they had to undo all of that and remove it in parts and pieces. I ended up having to have a full hysterectomy. They did a test for cervical cancer. They had to take my appendix and just multiple amount of things. They said that one of my ovaries was the size of a small football, and it was jet black, and there was a lot of black that they had to scrape out and whatever. And the reason they took my appendix out was that the black had started to go onto that, and it was fusing itself to the inside of my body, and there was so much stuff. They had to cut some of my skin out, and it was very graphic. But anyway, it ended up being a 5-in-1 operation. And when it was all said and done, and they brought me into the recovery, and then they brought me up to my room, I had 2 of the 3 doctors come in at the same time, and both of them looked at me and said, I'm trying to remember how they said that, something along the line, and I don't want to try to quote, but it was something along the line of, you must have had a lot of people praying, because reality is you should not have lived long enough to be here, to get to the hospital. And none of us have done this kind of operation in the way that we did. And it's a miracle of God that you made it through the operation. That's quite a thing to hear from the doctors, and they are way up in their profession. And then I had the other doctor, the 3rd doctor, come in separately, and she said pretty much the same thing, that when they took a look at the mess that was inside of my body, it was just shocking to them that I had even lived long enough to get to the hospital. I shouldn't have been able to use the washroom the way that things were all twisted around, and it was just, they went into detail about it, which I'm not going to go on here, but they pretty much all told me that it was a miracle that I made it to the hospital, that I lived the amount of years that I did with the mess that was going on in my body, and that it was a miracle that I lived through the operation. I was in the hospital for another week after that. They were all very, very kind to me. There was a situation where they had to do they brought in the portable ultrasound, and that about 2 or 3 days after the operation, and had to push aside the area where it was all cut up and everything, and then push down in. And I'm going to tell you, if you've ever experienced pain, that was probably almost worse than the situation that I was in before, because it was just horrible. But the nurses there and the doctors were just top notch. They treated me like absolute gold. They helped me with everything. When I was getting ready to leave and had the doctors told me that I was, well to go, everybody was happy and clapping and telling me that they were going to pray for me, and it was just amazing. It really was. But I have to say that I do not deal well with going by or near hospitals because of things that have happened there. Wasn't anything to do with the doctors or the nurses that I dealt with, just a situation. But I want to absolutely, for sure, publicly give God all the glory, because He kept me alive during all the years that, I was told that I shouldn't have probably even lived through. And He kept me alive through the operation. It's, like I said, July 10th, that just past year would have been 2 years. They told me that it would take 2 years for the inside of where they had to do all the operation. It would take about 2 years to completely heal. There's still, every now and then I still feel a twinge in there and stuff, but I know that I've healed good. My husband, who is he's a multitude of things, but he's a preacher. He he was a lot of things, but he is also an RN, and he took care of me in ways that I never expected my husband to ever have to look after me. But I can't thank him enough, and I can't thank God enough for giving me a husband that was able to take care of me and look after me the way that Alan did and has and always has. He was my nurse as well as my husband, and I very much appreciate that. And my parents did so much for me, and my mother-in-law did so much for me, and my kids did so much for me, and people brought in meals and sent meals and helped Alan with gas money, and because traveling back and forth from where we lived to Fredericton was, because he had to work as well, it's just costly. Bringing in treats and praying for me and stuff. There's just so much that the Lord did and took care of me. I'm here, and obviously the Lord spared my life for a reason, and I'm not 100% sure why exactly, other than my family and stuff like that, but I feel like he has spared my life for a ministry reason as well. And I just want to emphasize the power of prayer, because I truly believe that prayer made all the difference. Living for the Lord made all the difference. Having people constantly pray, and the whole time that I was in there and the whole time that I was recovering and such, prayer is powerful. And I want to publicly give God all the glory and all the praise for everything he's done. I mean, there's much more I could tell, but nobody needs to know all the gory details. And I made a statement one time that the scar was, ugly. It's from my belly button down, and it's gruesome. It's not a pretty sight, but my husband, who I love very much and I appreciate very much, told me that in his eyes the scar was beautiful because it meant that I was alive and here still with him. So, that's pretty special. So anyway, that's my testimony of that operation. I have many more other testimonies that I could give, but I just want to give God the glory, and I want to give all my family and my friends and everybody that helped me and prayed for me and was there for me much, much thanks and appreciation. And I pray that God blesses each one 100-fold for everything that they did for me, and so thankful for the husband that I have and the family that I have and the friends that I have. And so if you're going through something, I pray that you have a support system, and I pray that you know the Lord and that you have people that will pray with you and for you. And I just pray that God has his will and way in your life. And I guess that's all I really have to say for this particular testimony, but I just want to give God all the glory, and I pray that you have a blessed day. Thanks.